All right, so welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, Jen. This is Jen Mayer of Accelerate Your Health, and she is a certified holistic nutritionist and a wife and a mom. And I've asked her to share with us today because, as you know, one of my passions is self-care and how we can better take care of ourselves without the daunting, having to do some extreme health rituals or that type of thing, but just really kind of everyday, incorporating health into our everyday life. And so she's agreed to be with us. I've seen her heart for our health and nutrition and kind of demystifying the things that make us feel like it's really daunting. So that's why I've asked her to be with us today. Thank you so much, Jen. And if you don't mind just sharing, what is a holistic nutritionist and what drew you to that field?
Thank you. So thank you, Rebecca. I'm really grateful to be here and really grateful to be talking to your community about this as well. So thank you for taking the time to listen in on this. But so holistic nutrition is more of a focus on using food for healing and prevention. It's always been a part of my life as far back as I can remember in childhood, but didn't really appreciate it in my childhood, watching my mom try and find more natural methods for things like pain relief or, us not sleeping very well and things, finding different solutions rather than giving us a pain reliever or something like that. She would always give us, valerian root or chamomile tea to help us sleep. So of course, as a kid, you don't really think anything of it, but into my adulthood and becoming a mother, I started to really recognize that holistic health practices really did go as far back as my childhood. So holistic health is a little broader in that it focuses on different areas of your life for optimal health, which include things like grounding, sun exposure, your sleep, your stress reduction, mental health, physical exercise, and nutrition. So whereas holistic health covers a more broad scope, I focus more on the nutrition aspect and tying in some of those other areas for our health. But in terms of how I kind of came into this, and you can read more of my story in detail on my website, but the Cliff Notes version is that my oldest son, who's now 8, when he was around 2, 3 years old, had some really poor health, went through a lot of digestive issues. And so I started the process of some elimination diets with him where he saw a lot of relief and a lot of improved health. So of course the curiosity got the best of me. And then for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been kind of on this quest to gain more information into why did removing certain things from his diet help him? Why did implementing certain things in his diet help him? And, really figuring out how I could train others in everything that I was learning, and how food can be used positively and negatively to affect our gut health and our immune system. So I became a certified holistic nutritionist this year, and I'll soon be board certified through the Association of Drugless Practitioners, and work exclusively with teaching and training other people, focusing on their core physiological processes, to find the root causes of their poor health and really get down to how to heal and prevent, instead of throwing a Band-Aid on things, or using a pharmaceutical drug. I really love to chat people up with, what they're going through. And even as something as simple as how to get through a cold, or how to lower their LDL levels, things like that. I love to answer questions and chat with people and seeing that shift happen in their life, because I'm seeing a shift in our culture now with this desire to heal and prevent and use, more natural methods. Kind of God intended us to use natural remedies and use nature and have this symbiotic relationship, so to speak, with what's provided to us, and seeing how it can help the body do what it's designed to do. And, I think people are tired of feeling bad. They're tired of constantly getting sick. And I think more and more people are open to seeing how they can use their own body, and like I said, what God provides in nature to heal. There is still an important place for allopathic care in Western medicine, by all means, but I still choose to find that natural route first, if possible.
Absolutely. That sounds incredible. And I know that's definitely something that I hear other women talking about. And discouragement in it too. Sometimes when we go to the doctor, we hear kind of the bottom line diagnosis or the bottom line, this is the medicine. but we don't hear those facts about how we can alter our lifestyle or change some of the basic things as eating to help with that. So that sounds.
And realizing how much control we really do have over our health. You know, I think there's a lot of industry that wants you to feel like you don't. There's a lot of money to be made in sickness. There isn't a lot of money to be made in wellness, right? So the more uncomfortable, in pain, or sick we are, you know, it's not really for our best interest. So when we can find that way to get to the root causes, though, is my focus, is figuring out where is it coming from, because we're really designed optimally. We're designed perfectly. There's a lot of outside elements that affect our health as a whole. And when we can figure out where those root causes are coming from and nip them in the bud, or at least reduce symptoms, then we can start to see some healing processes happen.
That sounds really good. So you've talked about it a little bit already, but what do you want people to know about nutrition?
Health is not a one size fits all. You know, I think that if you're looking for food, herbs, things, minerals, vitamins, things like that for healing and prevention, working with someone like me, like a holistic nutritionist, or focusing specifically on finding root causes is going to be helpful, because when you can find the root cause of the health concern, you can manage, you can heal, or you can at least reduce some symptoms. And while a holistic nutritionist is going to use food and herbs and natural methods for health, it's really a unique approach per person, because when you can focus on your situation and you can focus on your symptoms and what your history implies, what your genetics show, what you've experienced, then it gets you out of, and I know we might get into this a little bit later, more, it gets you out of diet culture, right? And focuses more on a unique approach per person, and should be assessed with a professional. You know, don't Google search everything. It's not the most reliable, but finding the tools to help the individual. So food is fuel. And so I want people to understand that food interacts with your body on a cellular level, and it's going to affect everything from how your organs function to your detoxification pathways. Nutrition is vital to overall health. So when you're thinking about making a lifestyle change and changing up your nutrition, it shouldn't be very difficult. But if you are suffering, then getting some guidance is more helpful in making those transitions.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds really encouraging. So sometimes it can feel overwhelming. You know, as you said, you were talking about kind of that diet culture, and I think that's kind of what our minds automatically go to if we're not feeling good or if we need to lose weight is, okay, what diet? You know, what diet, and do I really have the stamina or the motivation to do the diet? You know, there's all kinds of diets out there, and it can be confusing. So, and just different supplements too, you know, there's lots of different companies providing different supplements or things to incorporate in your daily life. And I think sometimes we want that promise, that one promised thing, diet or product or something. So in the midst of all of those things, how do we navigate and find out what the best way to focus our energies on when it comes to our nutrition?
Yes. So anybody listening, get your pen out. I have the big answer, right? Everybody get ready. Everybody wants the answer to this
Sounds
question.
good. Yes.
Which diet do I choose? You know, like they just like, give me a direction, give me my answer so I don't have to guess anymore. And the big answer is use your intuition. Because we all know intuitively how to eat healthy. We all know innately that we need fruits and vegetables. We all know that we need certain foods. We don't necessarily crave the healthiest foods in the world, but we know that we need them. And I think the problem with diet culture is that it's basically teaching you restriction and deprivation, and then it's not sustainable. If a diet is telling you that a vegetable is bad, the diet is bad. Let's just put it that way. If a diet is telling you that your innate, the foods that you're innately created to consume are bad, run as far as you can from that diet. Because when I use the term diet with a client or, you know, anybody in my life, I'm not referencing a type of diet. I am just referencing food intake, your diet, the things that you consume. It's to anyone that's, wanting to make a lifestyle change, my recommendation is going to be to stick with your usual favorite meals and add 1 or 2 new things every couple of weeks. Make this a slow process. Add a new vegetable when you're making your usual, chili or whatever. Add something to a side and make it a different way. Maybe you steam it, or maybe you roast it. Maybe you throw some different seasoning on it. But try 1 or 2 new things every couple of weeks and add it to your favorite dish. This is not a pantry and refrigerator overhaul where you start a diet and it says Monday, go clean out your refrigerator. Like, enough of all of that. Reject diet culture in every sense of the word, because again, it's teaching you deprivation and it's teaching you restriction, and you shouldn't be depriving your body. If your body is hungry, eat. And you have a choice. You can eat healthy or you can eat not so healthy. And I don't like to say this food is good and this food is bad. I like to say there is food and there is better food. And innately, we know the decision that we're making is either not so healthy or healthy, right? And I think that the problem that we run into with dieting is that we think, I'm not gonna like it, but it's good for me, and I can't eat bread anymore, so now I can only eat this. And then you end up having a really poor relationship with food, and then you run into an entirely different issue. And I think the less stress that we can take out of the process of making a healthier lifestyle choice, by not forcing it, slowing down a little bit, giving yourself some grace, giving yourself some patience, and especially with kids, and not expecting perfection, then trying new things and incorporating healthier choices, it becomes a little bit more fun, right? And then, as we all know, the more we start to consume something, the more we start to crave it, and then we start to desire it more, and it becomes more of a fun process of eating than a dreadful one. So when it comes to dieting, I like to say, your diet should just be the food you choose to eat. It shouldn't be a set of rules and restrictions that force you to cut and restrict and deprive, because that's not sustainable and it's not healthy, both physically and mentally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that idea of introducing, just a few things pretty slowly, because that sounds doable. That, that feels much more manageable than tomorrow you start a whole new diet or a whole new way of eating.
Right.
And it's much more doable with kids. If they can have something that they really are used to in their meal, and then add something a little bit new to it,
right,
then it seems like they're much more likely to adapt to.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. And the other thing that I want to emphasize too that you said is that idea of not the bad foods and then the good foods, because that kind of, then there's that can kind of play into the guilt and the shame that can sometimes come with changing how we eat, and with eating things that we enjoy. Sometimes the guilt and the shame that goes along with that can be really just far more detrimental than what we're trying to do.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that. So